talking about this happening 2 times in one day is just pretty bizarre, right? And events like this, they can just shake our sense of safety, right? In places that you're supposed to feel secure. You send your kids to school, you expect that they're going to come back. And so the ripple effects of what has happened can really weigh heavily on young people's mental health.
So joining us this morning to kind of talk us through this, what we can do in our own minds, how we can talk to our kids about it. We've got Dr. Morgan Francis with Scottsdale Premier Counseling. First off, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about this, because even myself, I don't even want to let myself really dig into like what happened, and because I'm sending my kids to school today, and so I just don't even want to go there. I'm not sure if that's a healthy approach, though. What is a healthy approach when you have stories like this pop up?
Well, I think first we have to know that there's going to be initial effects. And we're going to see that with some shock, some fear, disbelief, and also a tremendous amount of confusion, because we're all still processing. It hasn't been that long. So children are going to feel unsafe emotionally for the first couple of weeks, maybe months. So there's going to be acute stress, and then there may even be some more long-term stress. And we may see that with flashbacks, nightmares, having a prolonged sense of just depressive or anxious affect. So it's really important that we understand that children are going through a lot right now because it happened right in the classroom.
Right, in a place that they go to every day, and they're supposed to feel safe. And we just talked about a second ago, this is different than when you hear about, you know, maybe a senior who may pass away, which of course is terrible, but you understand the life process, circle of life kind of thing. Like, okay, they're a little bit older, and you understand, and you process loss differently in that way. But when it's your peer, somebody who is your same age, you have all of your dreams ahead of you, these are teenagers, I just can't imagine what that's going to do long term.
Absolutely. So we know from a social psychology perspective that when we witness a tragedy right in front of us, it has much more drastic effects than reading about something or hearing something about someone that we may have known from the past. So for the students that were there in the classroom when it happened, the students that are related to this victim, there's a lot of emotional grief happening for all of the students at the school.
So for parents of some of those students, and for parents of just kids who are in school and maybe see something like this and then they're nervous, what do I say? What's too much? What's not enough?
Yeah, I don't think it can ever be not enough, right? Like, it's never going to be too much. That was what I'm trying to say. And so we want to make sure that we're asking our children how they're doing. A simple, how are you holding up, can go so far. And also realizing that your child is going to be spending a lot of their time on TikTok or other means of social media to get information because they're curious. They want to know what's going on. And I myself was venturing on TikTok last night to really understand the tragedy of what's been going on. And there was actually a lot of support online from many students saying, I'm thinking about you. This is so hard. Stay strong. Let's pray for the victims. Let's pray for the people that were there at the time of this horrible incident. So there has been a lot of support online, and I think that's been a good thing for some of the students.
Yeah, I mean, that's almost kind of when social media is at its best, right?
Yes.
When there's something, unfortunately, like this, you don't want to see it, but you can feel the support from students who don't go to your class, but you are your school, but they've heard about what's happening, and you're like, wow, I'm getting that support from other kids just like me who know I need it. But what if it's just, you know, that talk with the parents is not really doing much? How do you know it is time maybe to seek some professional counseling about it, and it's impacting them in a profound way? How do you know when it's time to take the next step?
That's a great question. So when there's an actual refusal to return back to your normal life, so I'm not hanging out with friends anymore, I'm more withdrawn than I was before, there's disturbances in my appetite and my sleep, I'm having those nightmares, I'm unable to concentrate and focus, we see a big drop in grades, and the things that used to bring them happiness or joy, they no longer have interest in doing. So that anhedonia, or the loss of interest or pleasure of things, is a really big symptom of when we really need to get a kiddo to seek some support from a professional standpoint.
What are just some little tips or tricks that kids can kind of pack away and think about when they are feeling anxious about going back to school, when they are feeling nervous, even in other situations when they have lockdowns or things like that? Are there any things that you think, okay, as a child, here's something that you can do? Is it breathing differently? Is it thinking, having different thoughts? Any ideas?
Definitely breathing will help anybody.
Okay.
It is the most free resource that is readily available for all of us. And also knowing that I'm not the only one feeling this way. I think there's often times that we feel like, oh, there must be something wrong with me because I'm so scared.
So then you go inward.
Yes.
Right? And you don't express those things. I
Correct.
think that's a huge thing.
Correct. So being able to know I'm not alone. We're all struggling through this, and to open up and to talk about and say, I'm worried. I don't feel safe here. I need a break. And knowing that it's okay to step back and that over time things do heal. But if you need additional support, to reach out and ask for that help.
I want to ask you too, just going back to social media here, because we talked about on the one hand, it could be a good thing, right? You're feeling support. But there are some disturbing videos that can be out there about not just this incident, but other incidents that could happen. How do you protect them? I mean, from watching these things, you really can't if it pops up. Or so what can you tell them or warn them about the dangers of, if you're going to be on there, you may see some disturbing things that you might not even know how to process. They don't even know really what they're watching.
Yes, I agree with you. And I actually, you bring up such a good point that parents need to know that there will be disturbing videos. Even myself last night when I went on there, I did see a disturbing video of the incident. And I knew right in that moment, I had this visceral response. I need to get off of this. This is making my stomach uncomfortable. So knowing that those videos do exist, it is important just to talk to your child. What were you looking at? What did you see? What did you think about it? Having media literacy is a really important tool for all teenagers and adults to have when we're navigating social media.
Oftentimes we get these responses that are just like one word or sometimes no words from our kids.
Yeah.
How do we ask those questions where they feel not only safe, but that they even know how to express themselves? Are there certain questions that work better than others?
That's a great question. So one of the things I love is just sitting and spending time physically next to your teenager. So you may not actually be even needing to open up and have a conversation, but you just spending time with them, your presence can be incredibly healing and helpful for your teen.
Yeah, I mean, it's so true, because we're talking about teens, right?
Yes.
They're notorious for not being open books, that you kind of have to
Well, and sometimes
read
you
between
don't
the
even
lines.
really know what to say. You don't have the words to process yet. So physically being there without a phone,
Without a phone.
anything, without a distraction.
Just hanging out.
Yeah, I think that's paramount, isn't it?
Can I ask you about this, them going back to school today, having class back in session, a modified schedule still. I mean, is it good for students to kind of try and get back into the routine, for them to try and kind of move forward? Or in your professional opinion, would it have been better maybe for some of these students to just stay home and just take a day?
It's a great question. I think it depends upon the child. So for some students, yes, getting back into a routine, getting back into the flow of things is essential to their survival. For other students, they're going to need some time. And I think it depends upon where they were at the time of the incident when it happened, and if they were actually in the classroom, because it can feel really odd to be walking back into a classroom where this all happened. So it's okay to take some time for yourself if you are one of those students.
I think that's so, when you do have counselors that are on there, and we say this often after a tragedy, that there's counselors that are on there, what exactly are they doing, like when they're on campus? What's that process like for the students who are there?
They're most likely assessing to see if there's going to be any other disturbances, if any child is going to have, an emotional outburst. I mean, they have to also know that there's going to be students that are really going to be struggling and may act out with their emotions, may be disruptive. So they also are there to modify any potential threat, but also to, again, lend that support, to open up their door, to have a student sit down and talk about their own grief, their sadness, their confusion, their frustration with school should be a safe place. I shouldn't have to worry, and parents shouldn't have to worry sending their child to school, and yet here we are.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a reality. I know yesterday we had a retired Phoenix police commander speaking with us live as the school was on lockdown. And I said the training is going exactly as it should be. And he said in that way he was glad, because the school trains for this. The officers train for this. But we never want to see it actually have to be in practice. And that was something really difficult. And I do just want to talk about the teachers for a second. A teacher who taught this victim, the other teachers who have taught him in past grades. That must be really tough for them because there's just so much, so much ahead of them in their whole future.
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up because it does affect the administration, specifically teachers, and they don't go to school for this. This isn't something that they learn how to handle, and yet they're in a situation that is horrific. So, it's going to be something that they're going to struggle with for the rest of their lives too, knowing that this happened at a school that they were working at.
Yeah, I just hope they're going to take care of themselves mentally as well.
Dr. Francis, thank you so much for your time and for your insight. We really appreciate it. 8:19 is your time right now.